Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our Manatee Rehabilitation Center here at SeaWorld. My name is Maggie, and I'm across from most of you guys over here on the Manatee side of our Turtle Trek habitat. And I'm going to talk to you guys today a little bit about the rescue program that we have here at SeaWorld. Now, at SeaWorld, we rescue lots of different types of animals. This year, so far, for 2022, we have rescued 24 manatees. We have rescued 17 birds, and we have rescued 0 sea turtles. So that is year to date. For last year, for 2021, we rescued almost 60 manatees, we rescued almost 50 sea turtles, and rescued 213 birds. So as you can tell from those numbers, birds are by far the animal that we rescue the most. So I like to kind of attribute that to ease of transport. If you guys are here in Florida waterways and you see a dolphin or a manatee or a sea turtle that's in trouble, you can't exactly grab it, throw it in the back of your car, and drive it to SeaWorld. I don't recommend that. It is in fact illegal. What you can do is call it into the authorities. You can dial star FWC on any cell device in the state of Florida, and that will put you in touch with Florida Wildlife Commission, and you can report that in your animal. But for birds, it's very easy for folks to find a bird in their front yard or in their travels and take that bird and just drop it off here at SeaWorld. So birds tend to be the #1 animal that we rescue most often. Like I said, for this year, we are already at 24 manatees, which is a new record for the company. Unfortunately, if you guys are native Floridians, you may have heard about this, or if you're just visiting, you may have heard about it on the news. There is something called an unusual mortality event, or a UME, that is currently happening here in Central Florida, and it's involving the manatees. Unusual mortality events are declared when there is a single reason that is causing an abnormal amount of animals of a single species to pass away. And we know that here in Brevard and Volusia counties, which are the counties directly east of us on the coastline, that there is a lack of food. So the manatees are literally starving to death. Now these manatees that you guys can see here all look pretty large. These guys are very healthy. They're in great body condition. But manatees do not have a lot of body fat. As much as these animals look round and chubby, they have a very, very small percentage of body fat. And for most animals, body fat is going to serve as insulation. For dolphins and whales, they're used to swimming in cool water, and their body counteracts the cold water robbing them of their body temperature by developing a thick blubber layer to insulate and keep that body heat in the core of their body. Manatees, having that very little body fat, need warm water to survive. So manatees will migrate based on water temperature. So for manatees in the summertime, when the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic Ocean are nice and warm, they'll migrate out to those saltwater bodies of water and graze on saltwater plants. In the winter, as those water temperatures begin to drop, they will come into the central part of Florida for warm water sources. They may be natural sources, places like Crystal River or Blue Springs State Park, where there are natural sources of warm water, or they may be man-made. On both east and west coast of Florida, there are power plants like the Port St. John or the Tico plant. Those plants all put clean, fresh, hot water. So the manatees will congregate by the hundreds around those warm water sources because they need those warm water areas to survive. Now, typically manatees will have a territory, and they know in that range that they travel back and forth in as they migrate, they know where to find their warm water sources, they know where to find the feeding grounds. They learn that from their moms. So right now, all of the animals that naturally come back to Central Florida for those warm water sources in the winter, there's simply no food for them. There should naturally be large, vast seagrass beds for them to graze on, and unfortunately those food items are just not there. So these manatees are having to choose to either go farther and farther away from the warm water in order to find something to eat, or they are staying near those warm water sources and starving. So a lot of the manatees that we have been rescuing this year are coming in incredibly poor body condition. They have next to no muscle or fat left on their bodies. They're coming in basically just skin and bones. They're also coming in with a lot of stomach issues. Having animals that have been starving, I'm having a total blunt on it right now. Oh my goodness, the body system that helps you heal.
Immune.
Thank you. All I could come up with was reproductive, and I'm like, no, that's not the one I'm talking about. That's not that one. But that's all I could get. Thank you. Their immune system doesn't have the energy to work. It's not able to repair. So we're seeing a lot of animals coming in with a lot of really significant bioload, a lot of intestinal parasites and a lot of lung parasites, because their immune system is not able to keep those things in check like they normally can. They're coming in with a vast amount of these parasites. So what little nutrition these animals are able to take in is all going to the parasites in their intestines. So these animals are coming in really in terrible, terrible shape, and it's not something that we can quickly fix. We are able to treat these animals on a case-by-case basis, and we are doing a great job of nursing them back to health. But the other problem is that we don't want to return them to an environment that is not healthy for those animals. To bring them right back out to this area where there's no food, we're just setting them up for failure. So we've been working closely with a lot of our partner facilities. SeaWorld is just one member of what is called the Manatee Rehabilitation Partnership. Any facility in the country that houses or rescues manatees is a member of this partnership. So we're working closely with other facilities, places like the Cincinnati Zoo, the Columbus Zoo, other facilities where we can move animals to before they're ready to be returned. They're no longer critical, but they're not quite ready to go back to their natural environment. So we're utilizing a lot of different partner facilities to sort of shuffle the animals around as best as we can to help as many manatees as we can. When you're talking about an animal like the manatee, every individual is important to their population. So we're doing our best to help every single animal that we can. So that's a little bit about what's happening in the state of Florida right now. Now, all the manatees you guys can see here in the turtle shrike habitat were all rescued for the same reason. All of these were orphans, including the two large ladies on the other side of the habitat. The largest one over there, her name is Sarah. Sarah was rescued in Sarasota, Florida, October 14th of 1986, and she has been in human care for her entire life. Sarah was rescued as an orphan. She was less than a year old, we estimate, when she was first rescued, and she was given a bottle, and she was bottle raised. Sarah, at that point in time, was not a candidate for release because back then we didn't know that you could hand raise a manatee calf and successfully reintroduce them to their natural environment. So that's why Sarah and Oakley, the other large female, she was rescued in Oak Hill, Florida in December of 1995. Both of those girls have been in human care their whole lives and will most likely continue to. Sarah has never migrated out in the natural environment. She's never had to find her own food. She's never had to deal with a breeding herd of males. So for her, she wouldn't know how to do any of those things. Those are all things that they naturally learn from their moms. So for her, she will most likely and Oakley live the rest of their days out in human care. And that's a really beneficial thing for us here at SeaWorld because they're foster moms. Sarah loves when we have new orphans that we bring out here to the habitat. She will actively pursue them as her own offspring. Manatees, their closest living relative is the elephant, which, fun fact, if you didn't know this, manatees and elephants have their mammary glands behind their front leg, or their front flipper. So Sarah will literally swim around the pool, sort of pushing the babies around by her armpit, encouraging them to try to nurse from her. And we know that she does not lactate, we know she's not producing milk for them, but we see them do it most of the time when they're resting. So our interpretation of that behavior is that it's a soothing behavior since they do it while they're resting, almost like a human baby having a pacifier. It's a calming, soothing sort of a thing. But she also teaches them what to eat, when to eat, where to go, and where to really just be a manatee. She's a very important role in what we're doing here with these orphan calves. Now the orphan calves, when they first come in, they start getting bottles every 3 hours around the clock. Every 3 hours we have last person here until midnight to do that last feeding, and the first person comes in the morning at 3 a.m. to get the day started. So we have people here 24 hours a day when the orphans are here. As they grow, and we introduce the solid food, the lettuce that you guys can see them all eating right now, we will start to wean or take away those overnight bottles. We want to encourage them to sleep through the night. Generally, as they grow, we weigh them about every other day when they're really new, when they're really tiny, to make sure that they're gaining and not losing weight. As they grow, we start to wean more of those bottles away and increase the amount of solid food that they have. Generally, when they're down to about maybe 2 to 3 bottles a day, we will introduce them out here to our habitat group. So we start off slowly, and that's what you guys can see right now, why we have our gates in to separate the group out. We wanted to introduce the newer calves to some of the other younger animals first. Give them some time to acclimate to a new environment, learn where the food is, learn where they can swim, where they shouldn't be going. Basically just figure out this new social setting before we introduce Sarah and Oakley. Sarah can be a bit of a helicopter mom. She can be a little pushy sometimes. So we like to give them a little time to kind of get comfortable out here, make sure that they're going to continue to take those bottles, make sure that we are able to continue to weigh them regularly and make sure they're growing before we introduce Sarah and kind of throw her into things. So pretty soon we're going to be able to take the gate out and allow these guys to meet Sarah, which is very exciting for us because like I said, having that foster mom role is really important for these animals. And we've learned that it works. We have had manatee orphans that we have raised here at the park, returned them to the natural environment, and we have seen them go on to successfully reproduce and rear their own young. Georgia is a really great example. She was rescued many, many years ago, and she has at least 10 offspring and grand offspring that we can attribute back to her. So what we're doing here with our orphans really is having a positive impact on their populations, which they need now more than ever. So that's a little bit about our program. If you guys noticed when you entered SeaWorld today, we do have a rescue gift shop right at the front entrance of the park. And on the roof of that building, there is a number in red letters, or in red lights. That number is the true-to-life number of how many animals SeaWorld has rescued since we started rescuing animals back in the 70s. And that number is very close to 40,000. So every time you guys come to the park, check it out. It's just kind of a cool thing that you get a chance to see. When you know that that's what it means. But we're very proud of that number, and we would not be able to do it if it wasn't for all of you. So thank you guys for coming to SeaWorld today. You guys being here is what allows us to be able to run our rescue program. So you guys, whether you realize it or not, are actually a part of the program yourselves. So thank you guys again. My name is Maggie. If you have any questions, please feel free to come on over. I'm more than happy to answer them for you. And I'll be out here for a little bit to chit chat if anybody would like to. And thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.